Okay, so today we're going to talk about low relief. Okay, low relief is a type of sculpture. All right, that means that it's very close to the base or the bottom of the paper or the sculpture or anything that you're using. Okay, now there is something called high relief, where things that are popping off of either the sculpture or the paper, okay, they come up really high. So as we can see, this is very low, all right, and close to the base. So this is a low relief mixed media project, okay. Now, some of the other things that I want to talk about is, yes, we have low relief. We have things that have been applied on here to keep it very low but have texture on it, okay. Now, there are two types of textures on this example, okay. There is something called actual texture, and then there's something that's called implied texture, okay. So the actual texture that we have are the crinkled paper, okay, to kind of signify snow mounds. We have the sleds, we have doilies that were actually used for the snowman, okay, and you have some found objects, which are some sequins that are on there as well, okay, on the sled, all right. And then we also have another thing. So this actually, we have what's called implied. Implied is kind of like those drawings of things. So, for example, if you can kind of see this, okay, yes, we can feel this, all right? But if it was just drawn, I would be able to say, hey, you know what? This is, it looks like it's very feathery, okay? Or it's very soft, or it might be, you know, swirly or something, okay? So you can draw, which is called implied texture, okay? And then you have something that's called actual texture, where we can feel it, okay? Now, a couple of things that I want to go over on how to create a mixed media, a low relief mixed media texture project, okay? When you're building or you're working with textures, all right, or different materials, right, you want to do it in a fashion where you can layer, all right? So how do we go about doing this? How did this person, you know, come up with this project, okay? So she came up with an idea that she wanted to create a winter scene. I was like, okay, cool. She wanted to do happy holidays. Excellent, perfect. So she said, you know what? I'm gonna have an outdoor scene with some trees and things that are going on during winter time. All right. So she sketched it out. Then she needed to go and look for the materials that she could use. Okay. So with that in mind, I'm gonna go over what some actual textures are available and what implied ones are as well. Okay, so let's look at actual textures. Textures around the room, okay? Things are like fabric, like we can feel this, okay? Other textures are, you know, cardboard, stuff that we can, feel. There are also ways that you can create texture, okay? So this is a newspaper, okay? So far, so good. I'm going to move that over. You can create a feeling of rigid by going back and forth, okay? So I can feel that, all right? So it makes it really neat. You can also do, so let's say we want to swirl, okay? I'm going to take this and curl it. Okay. Watch this. I'm going to take this and like, what is she doing? Right? Make it look like it's got waves. So when I glue it down, it could look like it's wavy. Okay? So there's different things that you can do with paper to get those textures as well, even though it's just flat. All right? And creating those kind of textures, the ones that you can actually build up with paper, you have lots of options too. We have this option, we have, piece of paper, okay, tissue paper. Now, I know a lot of people want to just crumple it up and like stick it on like, oh, here's a flower, let's stick it on this thing. Please don't crumple it all out, okay? Yeah, I know that is a texture, but it's one that, when you're little, you kind of do. You could take this, you can rip it apart, you can, do different things with it as well, okay? Colored paper, that's good. White paper, okay. Also, I want to talk about these papers. So these are decorative papers. Yes, they're paper. You can make different kind of, textures out of them too, all right? But they also have what's called the visual or the implied texture on it, okay? Now, if you end up using something like this, I would hope that you could add some more designs on top of it. So this one was added more designs onto it, okay? All right, so how do I draw texture? All right, let's move that. Off we go. Off we go. All right, so in order to create our own implied texture, it's basically us drawing stuff like this, okay? So this would be scaly, all right? Because it feels like it would be like scales, like maybe on a snake, okay? This might feel like very bubbly, all right? This might feel very swirly, okay? You kind of can see how that is. If I was drawing like wood, like this, it would almost feel like maybe it was rough, okay? Something that was jagged drawing, okay? Some of those texture drawings, all right, are here. So the smoothness of the lines, okay, going back and forth. These look like just waves, like it would be, you know, wavy, all right? So we have actual, the stuff. We have implied, okay? Implied might be, you know, the designs or how you create it, okay? Because this would feel bumpy. This looks like it might be rough, the way this is kind of, as I pull this down, sorry, you probably can't see it. You know, rough the way that the magazine is done. And oh, by the way, yes, you can use magazines as well too. Okay, and then drawing. Okay, so we've gone over the texture. You kind of get the idea of that. All right, now into the, well, what can I use? Move that more over, okay? Let's bring this back. As you can see, there's lots of different materials on here. We have marker, we have different papers. Believe it or not, some of this is actually chalk pastels, okay? You can use oil pastels. You can use markers, color pencils, so many different things on this because it's mixed media, right? So by the way, this is paper medium, all right? Different papers that we can use it. And these are drawing mediums because we can draw on them, okay? Excellent. Now, can we use other things? Sure. There are, over in the collage station, there are some other things that you can use. So, for example, if you wanted to, you could, part of my arm as I still pass, there is a bin that has lots of fun things in it, okay? But here's the thing. This is not a matter of, I'm just going to dump it on my project, okay? You can use just a few of these. This is not a, you know, I don't want to look like it's totally gaudy. As we can kind of see, I kind of sprinkled little things. I did. Huh, my student. So they sprinkled all over the place. Little sequins, okay? Now, I don't want it to look like you just dumped it on, all right? Make sure that when you place things, they have like a reason, okay? Like, you know, that this might be kind of cute, okay? Or if you were doing something like, oh, that might be neat if only it wasn't a real thermometer. It's actually reading the room, okay? So we have that. Okay, how do I glue the stuff down? All right, so introducing the glue sponge. The glue sponge is awesome, all right? Glue sponge, all you do is you take it, I know it looks gross, but it really is awesome. Take it, flip it over. You take your paper, and all you have to do is just wipe, stick it down. That's it, pretty cool. All right, another thing that's, you know, good, regular glue, dot, dot, not a lot, remember that. We also have awesome glue stick, okay? Remember, when you're creating your art, you want to do it in layers. You want to think about what can I do on underneath that I can build on top of, okay? What materials, what dry materials, okay? That's probably the best way to say it. What dry materials can I use? What paper materials, what other found materials can I use to show texture? Then you want to do implied. What implied ones can I do? Can I draw something, okay, to create texture? Or can I find something that has texture on it, okay? And then you're putting it together, okay? And when it all comes together, you don't want anything sticking out too high because then that would be a high relief. We're not, you know, kind of focused on that. But low relief is just slightly above, okay? And that is it.